Hey everyone, welcome back. In the last episode, I went through the editor essentials in the Unity Essentials pathway learning tool thing that they have set up. Hi, my name is Martin, and I'm a software developer. I've been a software developer for 9 years. I've worked at big companies, I worked at small companies, but I've never been a game developer. I've never made a game. I've never really learned Unity that well. And so I want to go through these tutorials that they have and learn it, and you can join me for that. And in the last episode, like I said, I went through the editor essentials, and then you know what? I was just trying to do this 3D essentials for this video, and I went through the whole thing, talked a whole bunch, stumbled my way through it, and at the end, turns out I forgot to hit record. So what I'm gonna do for this episode is just show you what it is that I learned and walk you through each of these sections and what's in them, and have a condensed version that way. So in this first bit, there's this video. Let's watch the video and then we will get to each of the other sections.
In 3D Essentials, you'll dive into 3D creation in Unity. With Unity, you can create vast, fantastical 3D environments, precise hyper-realistic simulations, and anything in between. In these tutorials, your goal is to design a kid's bedroom, complete with a bouncing ball that knocks over a tower of blocks. First, you'll add 3D objects to customize your scene, solidifying your 3D navigation and object positioning skills. Then, you'll create a bouncing ball. It'll start as a simple primitive gray sphere, but you'll learn how to create new materials and give it some color. Then you'll bring that ball to life in Unity's physics engine. You'll learn about prefabs when you create a tower of building blocks, which can be easily reused in your scene. Finally, you'll get the background and lighting just right, then use camera techniques to capture the perfect shot of the action. By the end, you'll have a solid foundation in 3D creation, which is critical for creating any project in Unity. Now, let's bring this room to life in Unity.
Okay. All right. So in this first section here, it has us go into the prefabs and pull in the bedroom. And what do I mean by that? Let me move out of here. Yeah. So this bedroom, minus all the junk that's in it, that is this prefab. They call it a prefab, and that's like a base object that you can create instances of. A class, right? You can create instances of, and you can like make all these different things. So there's like the bedroom. There's like all these different items that we can put into the bedroom, right? You can like see them here on the right. And I like went in and decorated the room, right? I pulled in the room, this bedroom, right? We like pulled this thing into here. That's what that is. And then I like put a bunch of stuff in it. So that's what this whole section is. And then on to the next section, we make a bouncy ball, this guy here. So we do that by actually going into here and we say 3D object sphere. And we can go look at that sphere, right? It's right here. And we can like add a material to it. So for example, on here we have this material that we made, and we put that in the materials, my materials, right? I have this ball material that they had me make, and you set the color, you can change the shine, right? Let's get rid of this one and look at this one, right? So you can see that I'm messing with the metallicness and the smoothness. Ooh, look at the reflection of that sky. Pretty. So I wanted it something like this. I don't know. I feel like that's sort of like a red rubber ball kind of look to it. Slight shine to it, but mostly matte. And then what else did it have us do? We needed to add some things to this sphere that don't come out of the box. The rigid body. We had to add the rigid body in order to get physics. So without that, if we didn't add these things, it would just float here. And if we added just the rigid body, it would just drop to the ground and do nothing. Yeah, I made ball physics here, and I set the bounciness to 1. And we put that on our sphere collider. Actually, sorry, the sphere collider was there. I just added the ball physics onto the sphere collider, and that let it bounce. And so now if I look at the scene, when I run it, it bounces. Bounce. And we knock over our blocks. And so we haven't gotten to those blocks yet, but let's see. We're just sort of moving things and positioning them around. We're adding those the color, the material, the physics, like I was saying. Yeah, we'll save the scene. And so then we're going to make a tower. So we're going to learn about how to make a tower of blocks. So I have in my world a tower, a few towers actually. I have this tower. Boom. Yeah, right? So I have like this big tower here, the big tower, right? This thing. And then I have also these block towers, which are prefabs. And what I mean by that is they exist. Actually, the big tower is not a prefab. I'll show you how to turn this into a prefab. But the block tower is a parent object that I made. So I put all these blocks and then I like highlighted them all. And I said, create empty parent. And I named that parent block tower. And that grouped them all together under block tower. And then I drag that into my prefabs folder, block tower, and that turns it into a prefab, right? So we can do the same with big tower. Bam, now we have a big tower prefab. And the usefulness of that is I can just put these places now. I can just like make them. That's pretty cool. And I can edit a prefab if I double click it. I come into the prefab editor. Now I can change properties about it. So let's say I wanted to take this whole thing. I guess I can probably just like scale it all down. Whoa. We can link them together, chain the scale values together like this, and then I can scale the whole thing down, right? So now if I scaled it down and I go back to look at my scene, I hit this back arrow. Oh, they're all smaller, right? I've like changed the property of the prefab. That's very cool. And now we can see when I hit play, they're small. Look, they hit the ground and they fall over. That's so funny. Okay, so then what else were we doing in here? So we made these blocks. In order to actually do that, though, I was talking about making these block towers. How did I make a block to begin with? I first had to create a 3D object cube. And this guy gets set here. You can kind of see it, but here it's bigger. And what I can do with this is we can link these together and change the scale like this. We can zero this out, reset. We can move it up higher, right? So I can do like this stuff. So let's make it smaller. And let's set it down like that. And then I need to add some stuff to it, right? If I were to just put it right here, make it tall. So now what's going to happen with this? Nothing. Oh, well, yeah, okay. I guess it starts with a it starts with a box collider on it. Okay, so that's good. Let me set this to 1, 1, 1, link them, shrink them. Okay, so then I have my box collider. I'm gonna add, so adding a rigid body is like adding physics to the box. So now, if I make this bigger, right, and we look at this now, we should be able to see that it's got like physics on it. Ah, yeah, we can smack it over, right? Before, it like couldn't be moved. It was just like an immovable object. Now that it has a rigid body, it like can interact. It can like be acted upon. You can give it mass, right? We can change that down to like 0.1, right? And now if I play the scene, it should be a little different. Boom, right? Like is lighter, right? It like got pushed way back. Um, and then what else do we do on here? We change the material. So on here, we hit this guy. And actually, I had made a material in my materials here. I made a ball material. And to do that, I can just right click and say material. I made a new material. We called it ball material. I'm just going to delete this one. Yep. So we have ball material, and I can change the color and the metallic and the smoothness. That's all I did on this. And then I drop it, ball material, boom, right? Now this has the ball material on it. The ball physics. So to do that, I create physics, I think. How did I do this? Yeah, physics material right here. I have the physics material and I can give it a name, right? And all I did on this one is I just set the bounciness to 1. Now I don't know what happens. I've never added that to this thing here, but you can see now I have ball physics on the box collider and a ball material here. And what's going to happen? I'm curious. It's like, it's bouncy. Look, it bounced back. Super weird. Probably don't want that ball physics, but you're getting the idea of like what we can do here. And so then I can like make a few different ones and I can stack them up, right? Like I did here. I just sort of manually stacked them on top of each other. And then I added that parent and I dropped the whole thing into prefab. Bam, right? And now it's good. So let's get rid of this one. So that's pretty much that whole thing. Let's see, reduce the weight. Yep. Add a material to the prefab. Yep. We talked about that. Organize the blocks with a parent. Yep. We talked about organizing them under a parent, making that parent object, right? Again, we can highlight them all, create empty parent, and that will group them under a parent. We can name the parent. Turn the block tower into a prefab. Yeah, so to do that, I showed you before, but we just drag the whole thing. We made a folder for it, my prefabs. We just drag the whole thing in there, right? So I can do this too. I can drag this. Boom. Look, now it's blue. It turned blue. And that's how I know it's a prefab in the scene. Blue things are instances of a prefab. And again, a prefab, if you know any programming, sort of like a class definition, and then the instance is an instance of that class. I don't know, maybe that's helpful to think about. And then let's see, what else do we have? We can adjust the ball's mass. You saw that I changed the mass to 0.1 and it changed how it was affected. We changed the ball's mass. We set the mass of this thing to be higher. You can see I set it to 2, made it heavier. And yeah, that's the whole thing for that section. We'll save it. And then what did we do next? Lights, camera, action. So in this one, we manipulated the camera. You can see I have like a camera section in here. So in order to get that, I hit the camera and I hit this button here, right? This toggle cameras. We can see the camera. That's really nice because now if I look at my camera, I can move it around and you can see it's giving us a preview of what that's going to look like. If I hit play, this is what the scene view is, right? Pretty nice. So then how do we actually, so we can like rotate it and stuff too and everything, right? I can take my camera and I can rotate it around, you know, like that, right? But there's a really nice thing that they show me, and that is if I am in fly mode or whatever this is called, right? I can like get just the right scene, right? Maybe we want to come up here onto the bed, right? And we're like watching from the bed now. So the camera selected, Command Shift F. And now the camera is pointed exactly where I am. It sounds like I could select anything, Command Shift F, and now that's like right there, right? So we just did that with the camera, and now it's pointed exactly where we want it. And now when I run the scene, there it is, right? So, and yeah, and I had said I want it underneath the basketball hoop, like that. Kind of fun. And then we pick the camera, Command Shift F. Now the camera's here, right? And you can see that it shows that scene. Nice, super nice. Yeah, so now we're looking at the directional light. So here we have this light source, and this is like the sun. And you can see that I can change the angle of it. You can see how it like changes the shadows, right? I'm like rotating the light, and I'm changing where the shadows are. I'm changing like the angle of the sun, right? And I can change the color too. If I hit this directional light, I've got this guy, right? Boom. Now it's like, kind of bright midday out, kind of nice. Yeah, it's kind of nice. And then I can look at the skyboxes too, and they give us skyboxes. And here are some different ones that we can observe here, and we can pick a nice one. Let's pick. Let's go for Sky Cloud. Bam. Right? Now we've got a sky background. We've got the sun, right? We've sort of changed the time of day, as it were. Next, what do we got? Edit the skybox. Edit play mode tint. Yeah, so when you go into play mode, you can see that I've got like this. It darkens everything else, right? And to do that, you go to Unity Settings, and you go to Colors, and it's right under General, Play Mode Tint. And if I wanted to set this to something crazy like that, I could, and you can see it's quite extreme. Ooh, do not like that at all. Nope, no thank you. So, oh God, I clicked it again. So in order to change that, again, Settings, Play Mode Tint, right here, and I'm just gonna set it to a nice grayed out. And I like that because it shows me that I'm definitely in play mode. It sort of highlights the section, but it's not distracting. All right, what else? That's the end of that section. We'll save this. All right, and so then the final section of any importance, the last one is just completing the checkpoints. You just click the quiz section. So this is the last real section, section 5, 3D Essentials, some more stuff. So we can make a perfect block tower. So here's an additional trick. If I take this block tower, if I take a block, so I have this block, if I hold V, I can click on one of these corners and I can drag it around and I can stack it perfectly. If I put it on another corner, right, it'll like stack up like that. Boom. So that's nice. What else? Add and frame custom artwork. So here, this is our custom artwork. So to make this, we went to, we created a quad. Yeah. So what is a quad? A quad apparently is a 2D surface that has like one side. So for example, what I mean by one side, if I look around the other side of this, it's gone. It's invisible, right? Whoops. There it is, but it does not exist unless and navigating is hard, right? So you can see one side. Whoops. Oh my God. still navigating, right? Boom, it's gone. And to get a shape onto this, right, I went to, let's see, my materials. I pulled in an image that I got from the internet. This one, actually, John Lemon, I don't know, whatever. and I just dragged it into my project structure here, and I can drag it. Can I just drag it onto this? Yeah, so I can just drag it onto the quad, and then it had you make a frame. So what you do is you can duplicate it. You can do Command D or Control D, and then I can scale that up to 1.1, and then I can move it slightly back this way. So I'm just looking at this z-axis here because that's the direction it's going in. So we're gonna make it bigger. So I'm gonna make it 19 like that. So it's just slightly behind. And then what we'll do is for this one, we'll set the thing to something brown like that. And now you can see we have a frame on our thing. And then I can take that whole thing, and if I wanted to, I can actually make this quad 2. Let's name it frame. And we'll call this picture. And we'll put the frame as a child of the picture. And now it's like one unit, right? So we can like move the whole thing around. So that's like a quick rundown of what this is all about. That is the end of that one. We'll save the scene. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, you want to see more, you want to learn the rest of Unity with me, go ahead and leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I hope I'll see you next time. Thanks.